We are here live at Battle Arena Dunstable. Very excited about this one, Steve.
As always, I'm your host with my partner in crime, Chris Spencer, Steve Brinkman here, bringing you all the battles from Dunstable.
Now, Matthew James, he's had a little swap of teams. I think he used to be Russell Perks, and now he is MD Fight Club.
Well, you know those Russell Perks guys come with lots of high-flying kicks, good Taekwondo style, so Matthew James will have taken that forward, and it'll be interesting to see what kind of looks he's getting from that MD Fight Club. Maybe they're a little more grappling heavy.
Yeah, Matthew James, he's swapped over. I know he's been doing a lot of jiu-jitsu at the local Gracie school, and he's come out in a Gracie jiu-jitsu t-shirt, which is either he can't grapple but wants the other guy to think he can, or he can grapple and he's not afraid to let everyone know it.
Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. Maybe he's a Gracie University grad. He could be a Gracie University blue belt. You got to look out for those guys.
As Matthew's my friend, I'm going to defend him from not a jiu-jitsu, a Gracie University fake blue belt.
Good.
He's a legit grappler, a legit MMA fighter. He's had a couple of fights here on Battle Arena. He looks like he's in great shape.
Wow. Yeah, he's coming out in great athletic form, is Matthew James. James is going to be looking to put on a hurting early here in this 66 kilogram featherweight fight here at Battle Arena. The first one to kick off the events today. Brought to you by Bear Hug knee, elbow, and ankle supports.
Do you need knee and elbow support, Steve? Are you that age?
Yes, I definitely do. Every time you hyperextend your elbow, go for it. Matthew James in incredible shape.
And his opponent into the blue corner. Please make some noise for Johane Stromsnes.
Johane Stromsnes from Frontline Academy, our first of many Vikings on this card. They all look a little bit similar. Is that racist? It's not racist because they all cut their beards the same way, have their hair the same way. They're like they arrive on a Viking warship.
Yeah, he was definitely at the head of that warship rowing all the way over here through the North Sea from Norway. And you know what they say about Norway? It's Norway or the highway. I
would say about Johane earlier, he looked really nervous. I saw him backstage. He looked like he had a bad stomach. He looked like I know this is his debut fight, and he's fighting a slightly more experienced fighter in Matthew James, but maybe he's just showing a little bit of that inexperience with his nervous expression on his face.
Yeah, he does have his mouth agape there. It's interesting to think about Frontline being such a dominant force here at Battle Arena. They always bring it. They always have such incredible fighters. But sometimes that can really add to the pressure that a fighter's feeling because you feel like you have to carry the flag of this great team.
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure on your shoulders having those experienced team members in your corner put pressure on you. And at this Battle Arena, we've got Lee Hasdale refereeing, the local, well, not local, but UK MMA legend, fought in Japan, America, all over the world. One of the pioneers of mixed martial arts in the UK.
Yeah, I was going to say if we were going to have a Mount Rushmore of UK BJJ legends, or UK MMA legends, Lee would definitely be up there.
Trying to think who else. Neil McLeod maybe, Danny Batten.
Lee Remedios,
yes. Classic. Any like you, when was the first UK fighter in the UFC? There was no UK guys in the first few, certainly.
Wasn't it Ian Freeman?
Ian Freeman, yeah, against Frank Mir.
The problem is his head would take up all of the Mount Rushmore of UK MMA. We love you, Ian.
He does charge £5 for a photo, just let you know.
Introducing again the fighter in the red corner, weighing 65.9 kilograms, representing CJA. Make some noise for Mathieu. And his opponent fighter in the blue corner, weighing 65.9 kilograms, representing Frontline Academy, Johane Stromsnes.
Frontline guys, when you watch this commentary, me and Steve love those Frontline shorts. We want a pair of Frontline shorts to get some training in.
Or Frontline t-shirts, we absolutely love those.
Yeah.
Pretty much any swag we can get. But this is an interesting battle of physiques here because we got James over there looking shredded, looking cut, you know, veins popping out of his shoulders, and then we got Johane coming out and just looking to land kicks high and low.
The old glove touch inside leg kick is a classic move.
A little bit softer in the body as Johane Stromsnes comes in for the single and gets chest pressure very quickly.
Like we said while they were walking out, Matthew James has been working a lot of grappling here, so Although he's on the bottom of this closed guard position, he might actually be happy here. Maybe he can work some of this Gracie Jiu-Jitsu that he's been polishing over the last few months.
This is one of my favorite positions to be in the bottom because you've got your opponent's posture broken. He's got an overwrap there on the left side, does James. And he might be able to set up some submissions here by maybe stuffing that hand backwards.
It's not as traditional overwrap because Johane does have his hand on the inside. It would be slightly better if his hand was on the mat for James, but he can still use that for a lot, maybe set up some sweeps. If it was me, I would probably go butterfly and then try and sweep to this side, but James trying to set up something with it right now. Maybe a triangle, control the other arm.
And early on, those triangles, those arm bars are a lot more effective because you're not as slippery as you are in the later rounds. So right now, we're only 30 seconds into this fight. We're on the ground. A takedown lands for Stromsnes, and James is on his back trying to work. There, now he gets that traditional overwrap position. Stromsnes' hand is flat on the mat, or not flat on the mat, but on the mat.
It's quite quiet here in Dunstable, and I think sometimes we have a fight show, and when a lot of the crowd have never seen an MMA fight before, the realization that's actually happening, that there's a real fight happening in front of them, can kind of leave you a bit shocked. Remember UFC 1, the sumo wrestler gets kicked in the face and his teeth fly in the crowd, and the crowd falls silent because they're like, everyone's kind of expecting it to be a fake fight.
There, we get them separated. Not a lot of action going on there on the ground. And they stand back up. Matthew James, Johane Stromsnes looking to trade punches in the middle of the cage.
Oh, Matthew James keeps switching stance, orthodox and southpaw. Oh, great cross there landed by Matthew.
He's showing that different look. Those left crosses are landing at will. It doesn't seem like Johane has a real answer for that.
Matthew's doing a great job of switching levels. He's hitting the body and the head. That's a real good sign of experienced striker.
He really is. He's reading those tells, and it just seems, Johane coming up with a knee. But there's a little bit of blood coming from the nose of Johane Stromsnes, and that's really going to affect his breathing as we go into the later rounds. If we go into the later rounds. That left hand from James is an absolute knife, just cutting through the guard of Johane Stromsnes, and now with a side kick and a straight teep.
I'm very impressed by James mixing up his striking. He's got kicks going in. He's just got caught a little bit lazy there and got caught with the counter. Oh, and another one.
And he bounces back there.
I would say
that
one
first
thing.
one gave him a bit of a pause, that first left hook. And he lands a left hook of his own.
Johane's showing a little bit of power. When he does land, it does seem to be affecting Matthew.
Big sweeping left there from Matthew go over the head of Johane Stromsnes, and a left kick lands.
Oh, great first round.
And that's just a difference, really a difference in experience there. Matthew James, more experienced in the cage. He's doing a lot there at the very end of the round to solidify his victory of that round in the judges' minds. He knows to battle for points there at the last 10 seconds or so. Meanwhile, I think all that nervous energy of Johane Stromsnes is probably out of him. He knows what he's got to do. He knows he's got to get in there and start doing a bit more, swinging punches, doing a lot of damage.
And any aspiring fighters watching this, listening to our commentary, the glove touch / leg kick combination is not really a nice move to do. It's a bit unsporting. It is within the rule set. You know, as soon as the referee says fight, if you put your hands out to touch gloves and then cheap shot with a leg kick's not too bad, but a punch or a kick or anything after, it can affect your future career because a lot of promoters won't want to put you back on their cards.
Protect yourself at all times, right?
This is true. Floyd Mayweather.
However, if you do signal that you're going to shake hands, there you go. Matthew James signaling a touch of goodwill again.
This is where Matthew's too nice. I'd have been
showing
unwilling.
a different hand gesture.
Yeah, that'd be me.
Yeah, definitely. Johane's hanging on the cage still. He's noticeably winded, breathing a bit heavy through the mouth. Right, that nose, that bloody nose of his might be playing a bit of a part.
Yeah, Matthew James definitely looks the more composed of the two fighters, although he's having a little bit of trouble here, being pressed up against the cage. What should he do from here, Steve? Should he have his legs wider?
I'd really like to see him try to use that overhook he's got. We've been doing a lot of that over Elite TC, trying to jam that overhook and use a wizard position or a shoulder overhook position to reverse that position against the cage. There you see he just seems to be happy to land heel strikes to the calf of Johane Stromsnes. Johane, to his credit, is doing well to push in, but he doesn't maintain head position. You want to see him getting that nut, the top of his forehead, inside and under the chin of Matthew James.
I think just listening to your commentary, Steve, improves my wrestling no end.
Well, feel free to come and show me anytime, Chris.
I can pull guard.
Yeah, you can do it in there. There you go. You see he is using his head position, but you see Matthew James is, again, being very wily here. He's landing those heel strikes at will and giving Johane Stromsnes pause. Now Johan's got that single leg, but he's not doing enough to bring his feet forward and suck that leg back.
I'm surprised that Matthew James is so stuck up against the cage here.
And notice the blood on Matthew James. Johane is bleeding a lot from that nose.
But Matthew James has got to be careful this round. He's probably going to give this round away if he just stays here and get pressed up against the cage. What he needs to do is look for some underhooks, turn him around so he can press him against the cage and then change the pace of this fight. Because this round, you know, in the judges' eyes, he's definitely losing.
And a lot of fighters get married to that whole overwrap, you know, that kind of like arm and guillotine position Matthew James is in. Just take that left hand out, Mr. James, and stuff his head down into his crotch. He's not going to be able to finish any sort of takedown, and he's going to have to back away. And
it's so hard to finish that guillotine when you're pressed up against the cage there anyway, because you can't jump and pull guard. You can't wrap your legs around it very easily because you're so, you know, you've got no space behind you.
Alan Jackson was calling for action a few moments ago. Whether he's going to separate them or not remains to be seen. There we go. Separating them out.
Alan Jackson, one of the top UK referees.
Definitely serves Matthew James a lot more. Big, flashy punches and kicks, but nothing landing from Johane Stromsnes. You see Matthew James come back with a body kick on the left side. Big left hand lands, nice and straight. Matthew James doing so well, not going, you know, showing one look. You see, there you go. He switches stances again. Big left
right
hook.
Landed. He's coming orthodox this time.
Yeah.
Constantly switching styles. Johane seems to have got over that nervousness that we saw in round one. And now he looks a lot more composed. He's throwing combinations. He's slipping nicely, mixing up attacks. Those leg kicks keep finding a home.
That switching stances that Matthew James is doing really helps to hide your power hand.
Yeah, when he's southpaw, he keeps landing that straight left a lot.
There's a big smile from both fighters. It seems they're over that little bit of sportsmanship at the beginning. And they're ready to be brothers in blood right now. It'd be really interesting to have these corners mic'd up right now, because you've got to think that Johane Stromsnes is two rounds down, and Matthew James looking very composed.
How do you figure that Johane is 2 rounds down?
How do I figure? He's bleeding all over the place, and he wasn't able to do anything up against the inside of the cage.
The way I see it, it's a round apiece. The striking was pretty even.
You love controversy.
And Johane held him against the cage.
Oh, maybe I'm just biased. I don't know. I'm usually all for these Vikings.
Well, Matthew's a friend of mine, so I would say that I should be biased, but I have it around a piece. But, you know, it's good to have different views.
Well, we'll see who can come and take it out in this third and final round. See Alan Jackson giving a good look there to Stromsnes' nose. He is bleeding. This is going to be difficult for Stromsnes, because he's going to have to keep that mouth open to breathe. Sweating loads, too, and they had to wipe him down with a towel.
And Matthew looks in very good physical condition. He's giving me a little wink and a smile. So I don't think he's particularly tired coming into round 3.
Not when you spar 10 rounds in the gym at an average workout. To be able to keep your composure, it's always the nervousness that saps your strength more than anything. Whereas one was nervous, Matthew James looks very composed and ready to make an impact here in the featherweight division. Just parrying punches, high kick there, glances for Johane Stromsnes.
That's the problem now. You got to say, if it is a round apiece, we've got to look at who's being busier.
I'm pretty sure the frontline guys didn't say it was a round apiece, by the way. By the way, Stromsnes is coming out. There's that left hand landing again for James. That right jab of James's is really stinging. I'd like to see him use that a little bit more. Now we hear it ending up in a similar space. Matthew James with his back against the fence.
This is where Matthew's got to be careful. I mean, if Johane holds him up against the cage for the rest of this round, he was throwing more strikes, nothing landed, but threw a lot of strikes at the beginning, and now he's controlling this element of the fight.
The danger here is the takedown. He's looking for a lift. He's stepping his hips in. He did it well, and there you go.
Good takedown.
If that's not an exclamation mark, I'm not sure what is, but
Matthew does a really good job getting straight back to close guard, and he does have the arm around the head. I think he's in a great position to try and get guillotine, but maybe he could just sneak it through.
I can see from here that he doesn't have his hands connected. Looked like he was reaching over maybe for a Kimura.
Matthew's just tying up that arm, throwing strikes from the bottom. His corner man needs to be telling him that, you know, he's lost. He might be 2 rounds down if he loses this. He might lose the fight, so he needs to throw some Hail Mary submissions up from the bottom, or get his foot on the hips, make some space and try and stand up, or walk up that cage.
Yeah, he is opening the guard there, but just to try to land those right hands from the bottom, and it's not really going to pay any dividends there. Johane Stromsnes is working the body with that left hand on the right side, on the liver side of Mathieu James, and now he's got his head pushed up against the fence where he can land some blows top and bottom. Body, body, head seems to be the beat for Johane Stromsnes. Mathieu does well to circle out.
This can sometimes be the problem if you're training, Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, as we're calling it. It's the other guy is trying to pass, and then that's how you're setting up your submissions, and it's different from MMA Jiu-Jitsu. I remember Roger Gracie saying that only 20% of Jiu-Jitsu worked in MMA, and
might even be less than that, right? We've got a lot of just inability to work here.
Here, instead of trying to wrap him up, being worried about those strikes, needs to maybe make a little bit of space so he can attack these arms. At the moment, he's just trying to hold him down. That's kind of a survival instinct.
Or feet on the hips, trying to push back. This is going to be very difficult, because if he doesn't get something going here, you're losing the last round. That's not a good way of finishing off a fight, especially for one where James has been so dominant. He gets a butterfly hook there at the moment.
This is what, from these positions, I like to wrap up the arms and then open my guard. Just get butterfly hooks, get feet on the hips.
And even if you throw up submissions, it does help to create a scramble in which you can stand up. Not necessarily, definitely not a lackluster fight at all. We've 2 takedowns there for Johane Stromsnes, a big slam there in the 3rd and final round.
But you think Mathieu won, don't you? And I think Johane got 2 rounds, and you think Mathieu got 2 rounds, because you said earlier he got the first 2.
I could have sworn, at least from my impression, from where I sit, Mathieu was doing more in those first 2 rounds, but
we need to
that's
have
why
a bet
I'm not a judge.
They're selling burgers outside. We can have a bet.
We're going to have a burger bet.
Burger bet.
Let's make it interesting.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, burger bet.
Whoever wins buys burgers. No,
yes.
Whoever loses buys them.
Whoever loses buys the burgers.
Yeah, that's
definitely.
what I meant. You know what I meant.
Oh, they're all smiles there in the Norwegian corner. And a bit more concern, maybe. Mathieu James, big smile still. But no one lifting their hands in sort of victory. I think this is one of those fights where you just wish there was a 4th round.
I feel like the commentator should get all the attention from the corner man, not the producer.
No, we should be getting the attention from the ring girls.
That's what I meant. I said man, didn't I? Ring girls. I got distracted. Controversial. Someone's not going to be happy. Cost me a burger, didn't it? But my friend won, so it's all good.
Did you know much about coming into this fight? I didn't know it. So it seemed the story might have been a strong background. There's very strong people. So I just took the time and played it safe. So played it safe, but got the win. Did enough to do what you needed to do. I know I've strike for my guys. I've seen this time before. Well, congratulations on your win. Ladies and gentlemen, let's have one more time for your winner, Mathieu. One more time.